Hello guys, and we're here today with another very awesome video. We're here today with DDs, and this is a deck that I am playing this format, so we do have a side deck here, and this deck is still very good. It didn't get the new support. I was really hoping that it would get some of that older support that has been in the OCG for a year and a half, and some of those newer cards that the OCG has gotten, including, like, what's his name? Siegfried, I believe. But anyways, let's just go into the deck. For the basics DDDs, they're a Fusion Pendulum XC deck, and once we get this tuner, there will also be Synchros. So let's DDD Oblivion King. This pendulum effect is if you were to special summon a DD monster, you can target a DD monster in your graveyard and special summon it, take 1000 damage, and your opponent only takes half damage for the rest of the turn. If you special summon him or normal summon him, you can target a triple D monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can also once per turn tribute any double D monster or more. And then target one monster your opponent controls and banish it, and so it's a BLS pretty much, and that second effect is really good. And of course, the main effect of being able to special summon monsters is very important because it allows you to make your rank 8s and just helps you get back cards like your Oracle Kings. And then Rebel King Leonidas, he is not really that important, but he's like a super rare. He should be a super rare. When you take effect damage, such as from your Dark Contract, you could special summon him and gain life points equal to the damage you took. So that is something to note. He's just a great, if you're afraid your Oracle King's gonna disappear, search him out, get him to your hand, so that way next turn you won't die pretty much from your own Dark Contracts. Birth for May. He allows you to switch a level of one of the other double Ds or more monsters control 1 through 8, and so it allows you to make your rank 4 play, or allows you to help with making rank 8 plays, but he cannot target himself, which really sucks. And if you use his effect, you can only special summon DD monsters. Running triple max C because you don't really run hand traps, but with this card you kind of want to have your DD monsters in your hand, so you have an indirect hand trap. If you draw into a DD monster and you have this card, then you can pop something. Soul Slime allows us to fusion summon using monsters in our hand, including him. You just reveal him from your hand and fusion summon. If he's in the graveyard, you can banish him to special summon out a DD monster such as him. Sometimes you will summon out Kepler because you want him in defense mode. So he's a really important part of the deck. Necro Slime, we're only running 2 of him because he's not that important. If he's in your graveyard, you can banish him to fusion summon using monsters in your graveyard, a DDD monster. And so he's useful. He can help us make rank 7 plays. It's a 2-card rank 7 play with Soul Slime and Necro Slime. Use him to fusion summon out Dark, and then use his effect to summon out another Dark. You can only use these guys to fusion summon Dark. You cannot use them to make this guy. And then Kepler will search out any of our Dark Contract cards, and he can allow us to bounce a DD card, another DD card, and return to hand, which I've only used that effect once. Since I've been playing this deck, I've only used that effect once. And so that is pretty much it for the monsters. You're just gonna try to fusion summon, try to XZ summon, and that's what it is. And the rest is just consistency pretty much. Allure, you have a whole bunch of dark cards. But again, with when it comes to cards like Maxi and Allure, I highly recommend that you also be running triple Upstart as well, because you kind of want that consistency already. Because if you draw into a Maxi and your opponent isn't special summoning, it's kind of dead if you draw into too many. So you kind of want these extra cards, so that way if you draw into them, well, you have more consistency. And 1-for-1, we'll search out either Necro Slime or Kepler. You want to search out Kepler, of course, because Necro Slime isn't going to do anything if he's on the field. But Kepler will get you your Dark Contracts. Like I said, Upstart. And then, of course, Foolish Bear. You can Foolish Bear or Ragnarok or Soul Slime or Necro Slime, whatever you need. Twin Twister, we're only running 1. Because this deck honestly has pretty decent destruction, especially with this card, but it's still nonetheless very good. It helps set up your graveyard, get your Ragnaroks, get your Echo Slime and your Soul Slime in the graveyard, so that way you can summon out another Ragnarok to summon out the other Ragnarok and have rank 8 play. And then Gate will search out any of these monsters except for the Maxis, of course. And all the Dark Contract cards have this effect. During your standby phase, take 1000 damage. This will allow us to fusion summon using cards in our hand, field, or graveyard, and if they're in the graveyard, they are banished. And so it's the only way to make this guy, and he is pretty decent. Chicken Game. We're running Chicken Game because 2 reasons. 1, all our Dark Contract cards inflict 1000 damage from our standby phase, so if they get rid of Dark and you don't have Leonidas, you won't die. Second of all, this isn't a slow deck, so Chicken Game doesn't technically work in this deck, but if you have Gate, and you have this card, during each of your turns you're getting 3 cards to your hand. And that's just like the cards you get to your hand. I mean, you could deck thin even more. I mean, if you search out Kepler, then of course you're gonna do even more deck thinning. But you get your normal draw, and then you get search off a gate, and then you get another draw. And of course, you can always regain life with Dark, as I'll get onto her effect. And then we're running these 2 virus. We're not running Crush Card virus because it helps Cosmos and it helps a lot of other things. I mean, it hurts the hand, but not that important. Any monster with 1500 or less attack goes away from your opponent's hand, and for the next few turns. This one's more important. You call spells or traps, and then any of those cards disappear from their hand until 3 turns later. And that's very useful because there's a lot of spell cards. It does hit pendulums that are in the pendulum zone. It won't hit pendulums in the hand, but it will hit pendulums in the pendulum zone, and it can force your opponent to do stuff. Vanity's Emptiness. We're running Vanity's Emptiness because you can turn Vanity's Emptiness on and off. God, that's the most time I said Vanity's Emptiness. With Dark Contract with Errors during your turn, you can use this card if you control a DD card to negate all of the traps, which is really good because a lot of people are running counter traps like Notice or that Magi Spectre one, Tornado, I believe, or whatever. No, it's not Tornado. Tempest, I don't know. A lot of people are just running counter traps, so they can't chain them, and so you just turn their traps on. Then during their turn, you just flip up Vandies and say, alright, you can't special summon. And if you have this card, then you can discard a DD card from DDD or Dark Contract card to pop a card. And that is something to note. And so pretty much you're able to just turn on and turn off traps as you will, which is really good. And of course, running 1 Notice and 1 Warning. We're only running 1 of each because who knows, maybe this card might get limited. And second of all, this deck is a lot of life. I mean, this is 35. This is going to be like at least 3,000 life per game. So that's already 6,500, and then you have your Dark Contracts, which could either help you gain life or inflict damage to you. So you got to be really careful with how much life. And of course, we also have the time space in our side deck. So for the extra deck, Oblivion King, if you attack into a monster and your opponent controls 2 monsters, you can bounce a DD or Dark Contract, target the monster you aren't attacking, equip it to him, and he gains attack. So he's pretty much a relinquish. He gains that attack, and it's really nice because it can go up really, really huge, and he doesn't target, so he gets over Magi Spectres and Cosmos. And then Dark, the effect is if you were to take damage, you gain that. So that's really good against Wavering Eyes. You just gain 500. Of course, with your Dark Contract cards, you will be gaining 1,000 per, and that can put you up very high. And then, of course, you have a whole bunch of life to use Chicken Game. And if you have more life than your opponent, yeah, you can inflict damage to them, but you have more life than your opponent. This guy is honestly what makes the deck. The only way to stop him, you cannot bottomless him, you cannot compose him on the turn he summoned. You can Notice and you can Warning him, Strike, but you have to negate his summon. If you do not negate his summon, then all face down cards cannot be activated. All face up cards on the field, including Chicken Game, will be negated, which results in combos with Chicken Game, where if you do have more life than your opponent, you can summon this guy, negate Chicken Game, and still attack your opponent and inflict damage. And then you also have this other effect, where you can detach 1 XYZ material, Heavy Storm the field, during either player's turn. So you could either use, because he also has another effect, like he doesn't need any more, you can detach an XYZ and target a Dark Contract spell trap card and set that target, so then you can get back whatever you just blew up, because you probably have a Dark Contract on the field if you're making him. So you got rid of all your opponent's back row, and if you don't use his other effect, your opponent sets their scale below that up too. So it's kind of crazy. He's just doing either player's turn, Heavy Storm the field, and that's really good. Other rank 8s is Felgrand, just generic stuff, Lancelot, and then Red Eyes, which is of course pretty decent if you can get your opponent down low enough. Dracosac, Big Eye, and then for rank 4 is Caesar King, who I like a lot more than this guy. Caesar King is if you detach 1 XYZ material during either player's turn, and then at the end of the battle phase, special summon as many monsters as possible that were destroyed this turn, then take 1,000 damage for each during your next standby phase. Of course, if one of those monsters that you summon out is dark, then you will be gaining 2,000 plus life. So that's really, really good. And then if you do summon him out using his effect, then you can place on Marksman King Tell, and you can detach an XYZ material and then target a face-up monster, loses 1,000 attack, and your opponent takes 1,000 damage. And you can send, if this card is sent to graveyard, you can send a DD. You don't really make this guy all that often. And then for the side deck, Reiji, yeah, you could replace this with whatever you want. I didn't know what I originally had Reiji in the deck, and then I just decided, you know what, I don't want it in the deck anymore. Triple Wavering Eyes, this is more of a stun card in the deck, obviously, and so that's really useful, playing it more for stun, just allowing you to get rid of your opponent's skills and searching out your Kepler, searching out your Oblivion Kings and your Leonidas. It's really, really useful. Time Space, you use this for Cosmos, you use this for... I wanted to use this against Monarchs, but there's a couple of other decks that I've cited this in against. Great against Rogue decks, of course. Minecraft, that's good against Monarchs, of course, and pretty much the entire format, especially when you're running cards like Crush, these Viruses, Deck Devastating, and Epidemic. And so that's really good. Fiend Griefing, that's good against Monarchs, and I don't always cite it in when I should, but it's just another Fool's Burial, and gets rid of your opponent's cards from their graveyard, which is very important. And then what makes this deck so good is Goes and Match and Rivalry, because they're all Dark Fiends. So you flip both of these, and your opponent has to choose one monster with one attribute, and then all others are, if they're pendulums, they'd be sent to the extra deck. If they're not, they'd be sent to graveyard. And this just messes with your opponent, especially pendulum decks. Because the problem I've had with this card is the moment you get rid of their monsters, they can summon out whatever they want. But with pendulums, they're all different attributes, all different types. And Monarchs, of course, you have Idea, which is a warrior, and Erebus, which is dark. So that matches with Goes, and then I don't know what Erebus is. I think he's a fiend or a zombie. And then you have... Oh no, Erebus is a zombie. Idios, the Vassalmon guy, I have no clue what type he is. So these guys just mess with everything. And of course we have Light Imprisoning Mirror for Cosmos, because Cosmos are annoying. Yeah, that is the deck. DDDs, I do definitely feel they do have a place this format. They are going to give a lot of decks someone for their money because of this card, especially Pendulums. Pendulums don't do well with this at all, because Pendulums are all for specialing a whole bunch of monsters, and if you tell them to special in one or two, they tend to slow down. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck file. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.